Hello, Eva.
Hello, Felipe. Good morning.
How are you doing? As you can see, we are live, and I'm watching the counter go down on Twitter because it's a little late. We are live on YouTube, we are live on LinkedIn. So let's get this started.
Excellent. I'm excited. Good to be here.
Good to
So,
be here too. It's
Felipe,
been a while since we have these conversations, and I'm super happy to have you here.
it has been, and we were going to catch up and talk about the Build Summit that happened a couple of weeks ago, our dedicated developer conference.
Exactly. Build Summit was an incredible day, 2 days of content, all dedicated to the developers, people that build on Snowflake, and it was just wonderful. Uh, Anyone can watch all the content on demand on our Build Summit. You can register. It's the content is all recorded, and we would love to share with people watching what were our favorite moments of it and sessions, what people should watch. Before we get started, would you like to introduce yourself, my dearest teammate, Eva Murray?
Yes, I probably should. So, for those who do or don't know me, my name is Eva Murray. I'm a senior evangelist with Snowflake based out of London. So, I look after the EMEA region. And yeah, I love data. I love talking about data. I love and I'm passionate about helping people do more with data and get really excited about the work they're doing, removing the obstacles so that you can focus on the things that matter most and not the things that aren't so enjoyable and that get in the way of getting things done. So that's what I'm here to do, and that's the kind of stuff I love talking about, including things like data culture and democratizing data, but also more specifically our tools and our features that we provide to help you do great things with data.
I love this. And how long have you been at Snowflake now?
Since March. So it's
Since
been
March.
just over 7 months, and they have been jam packed with lots of fun stuff and lots of events. And hopefully, we'll have many more of these LinkedIn Live sessions.
I know it's been an incredible 7 months. For me, it's like so much more because you've done so much in between. And I'm Felipe Hoffa, Data Cloud advocate for Snowflake. I've been here for a little more than a year. It's also been an incredible, exciting year, like learning so much. Like after 10 years at Google, I had to relearn how the world works, how people are working, and making this product, like Snowflake, the product we built, making it mine, becoming an expert in it, sharing my expertise. It's been really, really awesome.
Yeah.
As we're live, if anyone watching wants to ask any question, we will uh, answer it online. Let's talk a little bit about Summit.
Yes. I'm going to ask you a question
Uh-huh.
because you've been really involved in Summit in the lead up to it, and you had your own session. So I want to know what stood out for you, and specifically the Java UDF session that you hosted. So it's called Unleashing the Power of Java UDFs with Snowflake. And I understand, those Java UDFs, they give us more flexibility and more extensibility than you would get with pure just SQL. So, can you maybe share some specific use cases that you've come across, some interesting, cool, funky things that our community and our customers are using them for?
For sure. So, yes, we have the ability to run UDFs in Snowflake. First, we had SQL UDFs, just create a function with SQL code that you can use inside your SQL queries. That was cool. Then we had the ability to create JavaScript functions, which is super cool because JavaScript is fast and it works well. And now we have the ability to have Java UDFs. And that's super cool because you can take any Java package, you can create your own Java packages and bring them into Snowflake and create new functionality based on whatever code you compiled outside. And that gives you a lot of power. Let's talk, for example, about we have a lot of partners of Snowflake that extend the powers that Snowflake has with their own logic. Think, for example, machine learning. Um, You can create models outside of Snowflake, train them outside right now, and then you can package that model inside a jar, and that jar can be run and served inside the Snowflake. Um, my favorite function that I love highlighting is, for example, detecting the language that people are using to write things. So if you have a table with a lot of feedback from users from around the world, how can you tell the language of each piece of feedback? I have a Java UDF for that. And I wrote a blog post about it. I shared it in this session, and it's really, really cool. And in this session, we can go deep into how these Java UDFs work, and we can see the results of this example. And something that I want to add that is not in this session, but that we just launched in public preview are Java UTDFs, table functions. So you can create table functions in Java and have them run in Snowflake. And I'm doing some cool stuff with it. Do you know Reddit, Eva?
I do, but I don't use it. I'll have to admit because it's just not something that I've gravitated towards it. I know people who spend hours and
Mm.
hours on it every day, and I'm slightly worried I'll get sucked into the vortex. But show us, tell us
Yes.
what
So
what
I
do you?
spent a lot of hours on Reddit. In fact, I also manage our Snowflake subreddit for anyone that wants to join. We are almost 2,500. Please join us. Um, but what I did here is I took a million comments from Reddit, from the whole Reddit. I analyzed the language that each comment is written in. And of course, the most popular language is English. Do you
Mhm.
know what the second most popular language is on Reddit?
Well, I would assume probably either Spanish or potentially Chinese, like
Aha.
Mandarin.
Those are super good guesses because there's a lot of people that speak
Yep.
Chinese, and there's a lot of countries that speak Spanish. And okay, this is a secret between us and whoever is watching this because I still have to publish this. But no, the second most popular language will surprise you.
Tell me,
Uh, you are very close to it.
drum
They would
roll.
know how to say your name. Oh, Mikhail is here. He says Russian. It's not Russian, Mikhail, but Russian is a popular one. But
Is it
where is
German?
Mikhail present? Hmm?
Is it German?
Yeah,
Ja, oh, das ist
yeah,
wunderbar.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So somehow the German community on Reddit has grown so much without anyone noticing because I don't know how many people speak German in the world other than Germany.
Well, the Germans, I guess the Austrians, the Swiss, and some of the neighbor countries. But my next question will be why? Why is German such a popular language, and what kind of topics? And you might not have the answers now, but I think we should talk about this in the future once you've done your analysis.
Exactly, just to look at it because we should publish this. Uh, you would understand what they are saying. That's one
Yeah,
subreddit that's very popular in German, of course. They talk
interesting.
about things. But yes,
Wow.
if no one knows, Eva speaks German. She is German, and her
Yes,
real
yeah,
name is Eva.
IFA,
Did I say it
yeah,
right?
that's
Eva.
correct.
Yes.
IFA. So
Good. Let's go back to.
if anyone wants to speak German to me, please do. But yeah, let's go back to our topic.
Sprachen Deutsche. Ich kann keine Erdnuss essen, ja?
Okay, let's move on, Felipe. We said to
Mhm.
people 30 minutes, so let's see what we can squeeze into the next 20 minutes. Um,
Yes.
what
I have.
sessions? Go ahead.
What sessions?
Oh, yes, you have your tweet.
Mm.
Tell us about it.
Yes. So, especially during the first day, I was live tweeting the conference, and we learned that like I was sharing here my favorite sessions. The keynote with Greg was phenomenal. We announced the new Snowflake Startup Challenge, where a startup can there's $1 million for 3 startups that can win. We did this last year with less money. Now we have more money, and we want to help startups grow with Snowflake.
So if
But
you're
also,
a
the, Mhm.
startup or you're starting a startup, then make sure you participate in the startup challenge.
Exactly, and you don't not only get money, you get the full support of Snowflake, the mentoring, and we have incredible people, the people that build Snowflake, helping startups build with a Snowflake on Snowflake. It's just amazing. And of course, you have a lot of comments. We were talking before the stream about this session
Yeah.
with Brad and Daniel. What did
I
you learn from it?
that one. I liked that they brought in this. So no, sorry, let me backtrack. The session is building modern applications with Snowflake's data cloud, and I highly recommend people watch it. It's so Dan Myers and Brad Culberson, and what I loved is that they looked at what are some of the usual challenges that people have when they have a traditional architecture. So things like they struggle to scale what they're doing, they have really complex operations, but also often the manual efforts that they need to kind of plug things together and keep them going. And that's really going to keep you from growing and proceeding towards your goal. So what I really love is they show that, but also then how does Snowflake address those challenges? And they call out things like obviously separating storage and compute and having more granular and reliable scaling and isolating workloads as you need to, paying only for what you use and streamlining your data pipelines, and finally having the ability to deliver your apps as a service cross cloud. So I really like that, and they go into different use cases. That was a highlight for me.
Yes, and I was looking at the reviews that people left for this session. People love this session. So, yes, for anyone that's going to build on Snowflake, this is a must watch. Must watch. What's the modern architecture?
Absolutely. And let me
Mm,
actually do a little call
mhm.
out because next week on Thursday, no, not no, next week on Wednesday, next week Wednesday, same time, so 6 p.m. UK time, 10 a.m. Pacific, we are going to talk to Dan Myers on here on the live stream about applications powered by Snowflake. So we'll go a little bit more into detail on this topic. So make sure you look out for the invite for that.
Yes, we are going live again with Daniel and Brad. And the next session I tweeted about is processing PII in the data cloud. Also super important. Also, there's a lot of regulation about it. And
Yeah.
Snowflake is there to help you. Like, um, I've looked at the implementation of these features on Snowflake. I've looked at the implementation of this feature in other products that are not Snowflake. I really love how Snowflake has implemented this, how it has made it easy to comply and manage the complexity of masking data, uh, having row level privacy, etc., etc. And
Nice
in this
one.
session, there are great demos for it.
Oh, demos are always good because you can see it live in action. So that's great.
Yes, and again, I have my screenshots here. It's worth it to watch the full thing. And yes, people can trust Snowflake for PII.
Okay, what else did you watch and enjoy?
This was another great session using Snowflake to analyze unstructured data. This means that people can load to Snowflake files, objects, data in any format. It doesn't need to be JSON. It doesn't need to be CSV. Any format, binaries will work, or special wherever. Snowflake now has the capacity to store and understand those files.
Hmm.
And for this example, they took data from Dota 2. It's basically text data, but it's in their own special format. No problem. They were able to analyze everything, and again, the session is phenomenal view of how unstructured data support is going to help everyone working with Snowflake and working with wherever files they have.
That's great.
Yes.
Um,
Next session, I wanted to highlight Terraform, how people are using Terraform and Snowflake.
mhm.
This is Um, there are different alternatives to configure, manage, deploy, do your database change management. And this session went not only on did not only show the Terraform alternative, but it showed other alternatives, GitHub Actions, and again, for people defining their Snowflake account, these are great tools. And we
And
had a
say,
stellar guest. Sorry.
oh, I was going to say, who would you say
Mm,
is the kind of the target audience for this particular session? Who do you think will get the most out of it?
yeah. So in many cases, so the beauty about Snowflake is that it's really easy to use, but at the
Hmm.
same time, it gives the administrator at each company the ability to define how Snowflake is going to be used at their company. Like,
Okay.
how do you have an account admin that decides for the rest of the company what the limitations are, what the different teams should have permission to? And a lot of people do use Terraform to define that configuration. So it's great for the people making the decisions at the account level for the Snowflake. Um, and there is a Terraform provider that was not created by Snowflake, but by the Chan Zuckerberg initiative,
Okay.
because they were using Snowflake. They wanted to manage the configuration in a Terraform way. They developed the most famous now provider that does this. And at this conference, we had what's her name? She's awesome, and I wrote her name here. Alison Duami was present. She works at the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, and she's one of the maintainers of this provider. And I just loved having her at the conference.
Nice. Oh, very cool.
Yes.
What else do you have for us?
Let me go quickly over this because we might run out of time. But if you want to stop me, let's stop anywhere. Um, the chief evangelist for Get Postman was here building apps with the Snowflake REST API.
Hmm.
That's a new API that doesn't have a session. I love Snowflake because it can have a session. Like, when you connect to Snowflake, you can set variables, you can have transactions. Uh, the problem of having a session is that then you need to keep the session alive. With the REST API, there is no session, which, oh, there's no session, but at least it makes it way easier for anything that just wants to set queries to Snowflake. And
Okay.
here we have a great example. Um, and
Oh,
then this guest
yes.
keynote. Oh my God, James Governor was with us from Red Monk. He is stellar monk chips on Twitter. He understands the industry so well. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I loved the session. I thought it was really engaging and I like the fast pace when he just hits you with idea after idea and with, just these things that challenge you. And what he argues is that a lot of developers, when they, start a new job, they're promised, work with amazing tools and you're going to do all this great work. But in the end, a lot of their time is spent managing infrastructure instead of actually developing applications. So I'm wondering if anyone in the audience, identifies with that, where the way you're spending your time isn't exactly aligned to what you would like to do and what you're skilled to do. So, feel free to share if you're comfortable sharing. And I also liked what he talked about in terms of what happened before the cloud became a thing. So if you started your infrastructure and your architecture before the cloud was an option, the world will look very different for you than it does for organizations that basically started and grew up in the cloud. Because everything will be so different, and it changes things fundamentally, and it changes how you work. And I've noticed as well, it changes how people think about collaboration and working. That is exactly the slide I'm talking about. And if you're thinking cloud first and you have all these conveniences in your daily life, like I mean, we use Gmail and we use Google Drive and all those kind of things as private people as well, I think you realize like, oh, this is so convenient. But if the pandemic hit you at a time where you're like, oh, everything is on the machine, it's on the laptop, I can't share, and now suddenly I'm removed from my environment. I think that just really highlights the massive impact of the cloud. So I really liked how he kind of took us back through time and also where you then see Snowflake fit.
Exactly.
And again,
He knows the industry so well, and he
yeah.
can place everything. And for example, when you look at this slide, Snowflake is in a different position than everything else, but he's basically talking about observability. And
Mhm.
maybe Snowflake doesn't belong here as a standalone product. But his message here is that Snowflake showed up between 2011 and 2012. And what you can see here is a line of how the observability products that people know have moved forward throughout time uh, as new things are created. And he has a great observation for Observe. Observe is one of his customers. It's a new observability platform. And the highlight that he has for Observe is that Observe built their product on Snowflake. And
Mhm.
that gives them uh, the capacity that many other products before did not have. Because yes, Snowflake gives them unlimited scale, unlimited space for the data, unlimited compute. And that mix between Observe and them choosing Snowflake um, really shows up on the how the product can fit bigger use cases and make current use cases more powerful by the ability to just have all the data there.
Yeah, yeah,
But yes, and of course, I love this quote: "All apps are data apps.
yeah.
Data is everything."
So I'll give you room for one more.
Mhm. For one more tweet, okay.
One more
Oh,
tweet slash
well,
session.
not this one because that one is mine. So yes, these are the screenshots for mine, but we already discussed this. I was happy with this. They are the labs that people loved.
Mhm.
How to get started with Snowpark and Java UDFs. That's a continuation of mine, but getting hands-on. But people really love the one that we do with DBT. We have a
Okay,
great community of DBT and Snowflake users, and we did this joint webinar with Amy, which who is wonderful too.
great.
Amy Chan. Yes.
Okay,
Your turn.
so we had obviously a lot of content for Build Summits. If somebody says, okay, I'm going to invest 60 minutes, I'm going to invest 1 hour of my time, what sessions would you recommend? So that's probably two, maybe 2.5 sessions, depending on the length.
Yeah. So first, the question is, who are you and what are you
Mhm.
interested in? First, Summit is made for developers.
Yeah.
I have here my 10 favorite sessions and two bonuses because they are my favorites that Daniel had and I had. But mm, James Governor is something that everyone should watch.
Yeah.
What's yours? Let's go one by one.
Okay, I'm gonna go do the other one first because I do want to recommend James Governor. For me, it was Dan and Brad's because I just love this. What's possible with apps powered by Snowflake. I just thought that was a great way to make me personally think about expanding my horizon, thinking outside the box, and you know orienting myself into different directions to see, oh, what else could we dream up? So I'll definitely put my hand up for that one.
Yes, that's a pretty good one. And I'm glad that we're going to go deeper with them next week. So people should
Yes.
join us.
Maybe give us like a kind of a deeper technical one because, we talked about developers and yeah, what would you recommend for them?
Yes. I will give you an obscure one that is not listed here. If people want to watch, like, everyone can choose their best sessions from this list, but there's one that I wasn't able I wasn't even able to thread it well here, so it got lost. It's how to debug your barbecue smoker.
Oh, very fun.
Yeah. So yes, here we have a Snowflake expert first showing off his barbecue smoker, all the data that it produces, and how he brings all that data into Snowflake for his fun project, and he can monitor how everything uh, goes to get the perfect barbecue. And again, it's people building fun stuff. You build these huge things at your company, but you can use Snowflake to make your barbecue better. And I find that phenomenal.
That I love that idea, and it's just something from kind of daily life, and I find sometimes you need to hear the story in a different way with maybe different examples for you to like for the penny to drop, so to speak. So yeah, that sounds really fun.
Yes, it made me happy to see people doing fun stuff. Again, these are the best sessions according to attendance and reviews. Um, I'm not going to. This is my own mix of how I mix attendance reviews and decide what order to put in. But yes, I really love all the content we put together, and it all depends which direction to go. Is who are you? There's a phenomenal session on pricing, for example. If you're building
Hmm.
your own startup and you're deciding how to price your product, we have a session on that. And it's wonderful, but it's interesting for that segment of people that have that question. And we have phenomenal people at Snowflake understanding how to price stuff, and we do that. We help our partners, especially if you're on the startup challenge, you will get their mentoring.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so to wrap this up, I want to encourage people to take some action. And I think you have a couple of tabs that we can look at. So the first one is to use the free trial, get your hand on Snowflake and actually test it out and have a play around with it. So signup.snowflake.com.
Mhm.
And we've got the
All that
communities.
you
Oh,
need, all
yeah,
that people need for a free trial is their email.
yeah.
You put your email here, you will get access to the free trial. Forget about no one needs credit cards. You can get access to Snowflake, build on it, and ask us. Yes.
Yes, and then we've got the community. So you've mentioned Reddit,
Mm,
so we've got
yes.
that part, and then we also have our forums. So if you're stuck with anything, make sure to ask questions. And
Hmm.
then we have something very exciting coming up in just under 4 weeks. Snow Day.
Yes. Snow day. Do you
Yay!
know? Did you know that we have a live huge snake
I saw the video
showing?
and I saw pictures, and I thought, yeah, good thing it's not me because I would be mortified. I'm not going to be the one wrapping a snake around her neck, but there's a bit of a cue in there, isn't there?
Yes. Why do we have snakes? Why are the snakes relevant? Learn that on Snow Day.
Yeah, it's not going to be snakes on a plane.
Mhm. But yes, is it time to close?
I guess it is. Do we have any remaining questions from anyone? That's what I'm curious to hear. Does anyone?
We didn't have too many live questions, but I'm glad that I'm glad that we saw Mihail. People can watch now this video on demand, and they
Yes.
can come next week when we talk about what's the
Powered by
title of the next week?
um powered by Snowflake.
Powered
Yes.
by Snowflake. Daniel
Yes.
and Brad.
And please do connect with us on wherever you're watching this, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Make sure to connect. And if you have any questions, you can, of course, ask us directly. And shameless plug, we're also hiring. So if you are looking to join us and join the rocket ship, then also, get in touch with Felipe or myself,
Mhm.
and we'll connect the dots.
Oh my God, we've hired amazing people, and we just want to grow the family.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll be back next week, Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UK time. Until then, everyone take care. Thanks, Felipe. This was fun.
Thank you. Have a great one.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.